The sun sets, the rush hour traffic dies out, and most of the city's inhabitants go to sleep, but not all. The night shift in any industry has its unique challenges to overcome, and especially so in the world of emergency communications. There are fewer resources to call upon, more violent acts which take place, and it all happens under the cover of darkness when your body is telling you to go to sleep. Today, we explore the nocturnal world of the 911 Center. This is Lifeline. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 Podcast with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I'm your co host, Gary, and thank you for joining us on our first episode of Season 3. Woohoo! We made it!
Whoop, 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 whoop. Yay.
We hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year, and we're glad that you could join us today to discuss the night shift in emergency communications.
Yeah.
So, in many shows and industries, when you think about the night shift, you think about people that are, up late at night, drinking lots and lots of coffee or energy drinks these days, and trying to just kind of get by. And
Yeah.
is that more or less how it is in a real, 911 center?
I think it depends on the size of the 911 center, but I know ours and places that are similar in size and population, it could be anything but just trying to get by. It could be holding on literally by your fingernails and just riding the wave because it can get crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's always interesting because we work in a larger center. So, there on night shift, there might be, 25 people on duty. So
Mm-hmm.
it's much different than, say, a tiny center that might have one person on duty. And, when they need to get relieved to go to the restroom or something, they have to call in, somebody from the street to work the radio or
Mm-hmm.
the phones for them.
Or they got a handy talkie or something and they're just, yeah.
Yeah, they know how far that cord will stretch to get to the bathroom.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but there are, of course, in our industry, there's a lot of challenges that always happen. You've got rude callers, you've got people that don't know where they're at, you've got policies and procedures to follow, everything that happens normally. But working on the night shift, you have the added challenge of the callers are often maybe inebriated. You don't have the same level of resources that you do
Mm-hmm.
on the day shift, because typically most of the brass and people that can answer questions kind of go to sleep.
Yep.
So you've got to really have your own independence in a lot of ways when you work on the night shift,
I
and
agree.
it's good in a lot of ways because it's fun and it's challenging, but you've also got to really be careful to not let that get away from you, I think.
I agree. And I'm thinking, we've worked radios, we've answered the phones in the middle of the night. And I'm not saying that you don't have leadership, right? That is there to help you, especially like from the floor. But I just remember, I would say like the first half of the shift, you come in on night shift, and at least for me, I typically remember coming in at a sprint.
Oh yeah.
And I like to tell tradies, when they go, what did you expect from night shift? Well, day shift, you kind of start here. It's like, think of it like an incline on a treadmill. You just kind of do, 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 do. Not that it can't get crunk on days, because it absolutely can, because the freaks don't always come at night. Some of them don't go to bed and they stay up until the next day. So there's that. But, and as the day progresses, the city starts waking up and more things happen, and your crescendo, if you will, or the steepest part really starts at night. You come in at an uphill run, and it is foot chases, car chases, I mean robberies and assaults and all kinds of stuff, and it is all happening for us at 10 o'clock or at 11 o'clock, whenever your shift may start. And I just remember going, whew, I'm tired and it's only midnight. And
Hmm.
you have, you do, you do have leadership there to help you. But for me, I remember thinking that there's just a lot less time to think through what the next step might be, and less time to pick up the phone, or in our case, send a CAD message and say, hey, what do I do here? Because you're moving, and so is the supervisor, and everybody else on the floor is asking the same questions or similar questions about different calls. And it's mayhem.
Mayhem is a good way to put that, I think. Yeah, I've worked on days, evenings, and nights,
Mm-hmm.
and as you said, day shift is kind of like a gentle beginning usually, and then you kind of ramp up as the city awakens and you
Mm-hmm.
get more calls, crashes, and things. And then evening shift is just the whole time, just like it's just constantly busy and constant crap happening,
You're at a
lots of it.
run. You're at a run. There's no more of that, moseying along. You
Hmm.
picking up the pace. You starting to sweat, for lack of a better way to put it, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you get to night shift and you're just, as you said, starting at a sprint,
Mhm.
and everything is going wrong. It's going, the fecal matter is hitting the whirly blades, just constantly, because you'll come in and boom, shooting, boom, robbery, boom, major
Mhm.
collision,
Mhm.
all these things, and then so you don't really have time to get your feet on the ground. Like you have to come in and be ready to go,
Yeah.
and then uh, as you said, like at midnight, you feel, wow, I feel exhausted, and it's only been 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then usually, once the bars close,
Yep.
coincidentally,
Drunk 30.
things, yeah, things tend to kind of come on down and
Mhm.
slow. I don't want to use the S word or the C word or anything like that, but they get a little bit less chaotic.
Mhm. Well, this. I
So
mean, we
yeah,
can say it because it's just the truth. I remember, and I'm sure you do. Usually, right around 3, three
yep.
thirty, 4 o'clock is, all of those fight or flight chemicals start to dissipate, and you're coming down, you've had your lunch, and now you want to go to sleep. If we're just being real about it, you want to go to sleep too, but you obviously you don't have that option. So you're sitting there. I don't know about you, but I used to not eat at a certain time of night, just so that when 3:30, sleep 30, comes around, I'm not sitting here, my head's lulling off to the side, eyes closing, and I'm jolted upright, because I'm like, whew, what I miss, because you're trying
Hmm.
desperately not to fall asleep, because you come crashing down off of all of that. And it is a very real thing on nights. And some people absolutely love it. And I loved it for a very long time. I was a total adrenaline night shift junkie. It was bad. I had a
Yeah.
problem, Gary.
No, no, I agree. Like to me, um, working dispatch on night shift was really, really rewarding
Hmm.
because you came in and, as you said, you start crunk. It's just
Yep.
bam. You
Yep.
hit, and um, that to me was the most fun because you're like, I'm doing all this, throwing these units out over here, running these returns, getting
Yes,
these impounds, just everything immediately as you start, and that's a lot of fun for
it is.
a freak like me.
and
Uh,
and and like me, because you come in, I remember coming in as, more experienced, and you're taking over for someone less experienced, right? And they're trying to give you pass down or report, depending on, you're passing the torch. It's literally like a relay, and you're like, uh-huh, 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 get out of the way, uh-huh, uh-huh, move,
yep.
uh-huh, get out of the way, yeah, 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 yeah. And they're trying to give you this dissertation, because they are less experienced, and they feel like you need all of this, where you're experienced eye and you're accustomed to coming in at a sprint. You're already halfway around the track and reaching for the baton, and they're like, and so, and this thing had happened, and there, and what had happened was, and you're like, if you don't give me, move, move. But
Hmm.
but you remember that feeling, right? You don't want to be rude, but you're just like, give it to me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. You're ready to sit down, and you're 10 transmissions ahead, listening to everything that's being said on the radio, and you just sit down. It's literally like one person slides out of the way, the other one slides their chair in, and nobody misses a beat. You just start typing. It is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there when you get there and they start, giving you like the rundown, you're like, get the hell out of this chair! I got to get my ass in there right now to get going because I've got a 30-second lull and I got to get logged in. Let's go.
Yep. And sometimes you don't, I don't know how many times I've looked up and it's
Hmm.
30, 45 minutes and maybe even an hour later. And the poor person ahead, that was in the chair before me, I've done everything logged in as them because there was no
Yeah.
time.
Hmm. Yeah. And you've got your coffee or your like energy drink or what have you, whatever to kind of get you pepped up and going. And then, as you said, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, it starts to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
and that dump of adrenaline that you had, it comes kind of like, it gives you a moment to catch your breath,
Yeah.
and then
The
the
crash.
tiredness comes in. Yeah,
The
for
crash.
me, for me, the hardest hour on night shift was always 4 to 5. I knew if I made it to 5 o'clock, I could make it to six
Yeah,
o'clock and
because you
get
kind
get
of
out of
start
here.
to wake up around 5 o'clock because you're like, I'm
Yeah.
almost out of here. But it's that yeah, I think that's actually more accurate, that from the time of that second break or that first break after lunch till it's time to go, you're like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm gonna
Mm.
make it. And then in typical night shift fashion, right about the time you despair of not being able to keep your eyelids open one more second, I got one at gunpoint. You're like, ha.
Yeah. Whoa, where did this come from? Wakes you up. Boom.
And then yet another dump of all of
Hmm.
those fight or flight, hormones, and you're like, and off you go. But
Yeah.
that what I loved about the night shift though is over time, less and less, you became less and less rattled by those things. And I think that is the benefit of the trial by fire that is the night shift. Because while it is, for the newer you are, the more terrifying all of this sounds, it is, in my opinion, the perfect training ground
Hmm.
to get you ready to handle just about anything. So by the time you transition back into day shift or evening shift, where those truly critical incidents don't happen as often, you've had enough exposure to where you don't startle as easy.
Yeah. And you get that by going through the crucible of
Hmm.
working on nights, where that flame will purify you and harden you or burn you away.
Yes.
Um, but to me, like the most, I felt the most dispatchery working nights. Like
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I am a dispatcher now, and
Yeah.
you know, 'cause you're in it to win it.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, and 4 o'clock comes around. Not only are you tired, but the cops out on the street are also pretty tired because they've been, chasing and fighting and running with people, and
Hmm.
so you might not sometimes get a transmission for 30, 40 minutes, and just coming down off of that high, it's a challenge.
And you can
It's a
and
challenge.
and you can hear it in their tone. You can hear it when you haven't talked to each other in 30, 45 minutes, and you go to key up and call a unit, and they're like, you can almost hear them going, what do you want?
Hmm.
They
I,
don't
I
say
always like
that, but their tone is like, what do you want?
I always liked it when it was like 5 a.m. and everybody was exhausted from a really busy night,
Hmm.
and then you get that noise complaint that comes in, and everybody sees it on their screens. All the cops see it, and you've got to give it to somebody.
Somebody
And
had,
so there's not been a transmission for 30, 45 minutes. You key up, you know, Frank 201. Ah, man. we're going to that.
Yeah, they're like,
So,
"Arr, arr." I can hear the
because they
growl. I don't
know.
care how they try to hide it. They're like, "Arr, what do you, or they're like, go ahead. And you're like, okay.
Mm,
My favorite thing to
yep.
do would say, I would say to them, and they hated this, but I would do it. I would be like, I would go. I would go. I would go and take care of this for y'all. Um, but if I did that, who would wear the headset? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? And I
Yeah.
thought that was
Yeah.
hilarious. They did not. They didn't. They was
No.
like, not funny. Not funny at all. We're tired and you got jokes. Leave us alone. And I mean,
Yeah.
it was never, it was never malicious or, felt like we were really arguing, but they were just like, I'm exhausted. What do you want? I get it,
You've
guys. I'm
bothered me
tired.
all night.
Yeah. I had one, it was so funny. He said, you've been in my ear all night. And I was like, it took me a second to process what he said. I was like, well, duh. Of course I've been in your ear all night.
That's what I'm paid to do.
Yeah, he's like, go away and leave me alone. But it was one of those nights where it was just, I mean, we came in, I felt like everybody was on a sprint and we didn't stop until it was probably around 3 o'clock when all of us probably collectively, them in their cars and me inside, looked around and went, oh, it's 3 o'clock. It's time to be tired.
Yeah, and it'll just hit you like a wave.
I mean, oh, yeah.
Even though we've been talking primarily from the dispatcher's point of view, the call takers also, the
Oh,
people that process the 911 calls, have sort of that same sense. It's not because the call takers tend to take one call after another, rather than having a whole bunch of things plates spinning all at the same time. It's a
mm-hmm,
little bit different,
mm-hmm,
but the types of calls that come in on the night shift are also usually the most violent ones,
mm-hmm.
the most horrific ones. Like
Yeah,
those are the calls that, when you think about bad things happening, it's typically going to be, during the night hours.
yeah. And it is, and I'm really, really glad that you said that and made that distinction because I cannot imagine our 1, 2, 3 seat PSAPs where they are doing both things, all the things. They're taking the 911 call, they're dispatching the call, they're got fire, they're doing, whatever medical protocol that is, giving
Hmm.
CPR instructions. My head just hurts just thinking about it. I cannot imagine what that must be like, but I'm glad you made that distinction because it is, from our perspective, because I spent most of my time as a dispatcher, I did take calls consistently for a few years, but we tend to forget that they have a heavy burden also, and they are inside these people's nightmares with them. You and I are reading about it and distilling information and passing it on. And yes, we have multiple plates spinning at the same time, but they have, in my opinion, oftentimes the harder job, which is to stay immersed in that horrible set of circumstances, hearing these things and having to sift through it, keep a person calm, remain calm, and make sense out of it so you and I can do what we need to do with it so the officers can, or first responders, field officers, or all of them can in turn do what they need to do. And that is no small feat.
Right. And when you said make sense of it, it made me think about during the normal course of the day, you've got to take this cloud of chaos and distill it into some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's doubly hard on the night shift because the people that are calling in, they're going to be tired, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be confused, going to be drunk.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of additional layers of difficulty that are added on to the night shift. But
Yes.
to me, I don't know. I don't want to say it's the most fun on the night shift because I don't know if I'd say the work we do is fun, but
It
it's the
can
most
be.
fun.
It can be. Well, I don't think it's wrong to say that because when we say that, no, a layperson listening to this might think, "Oh my God, I can't believe you think that's fun." What's happening to people is not what we mean. The
Right.
horrors and the just horrible things that are happening to people, that part is not fun. What works for us and what you could call fun, it's the juggling. It's the creating um, order out of the chaos. It is getting to use our training in a way that does not require us to think about it. It's
Mhm.
managing multiple resources and firing on all cylinders that makes it, if you can call it fun, fun. But
Yeah.
if I could work a simulation where, I got five cops chasing somebody and nobody actually ends up hurt, or if I could do that without the event that caused that to happen, meaning the robbery or the assault, and I could still get the same adrenaline dump, still get to use all of my skills, still get to manage all of these things. That's what we mean. It's not
Mhm.
what is happening to people that cause us to have to go to work, because a really, really good day for us is the slow day. In my profession, my husband often will ask me, he's like, how was work? And I'll say, uneventful. He goes, good. And I'm like, agreed.
Mhm.
Uneventful is great.
Yeah. That means nobody hopefully died
Mm-hmm.
or had a bad day.
Yeah.
Those days are few and far between sometimes. So.
Indeed. Indeed. So when they come along, we're a sick bunch sometimes. We're like, we're bored. But what we mean by that is not we want people to get hurt. What we mean is I'm not using my skills.
Mhm. Yeah. It's like, I guess, like an athlete that if you're good athlete, like in basketball or football or golf or whatever, you want to play at the top of your game.
Mm-hmm.
And the most extreme scenarios where you've got to be the best in moments happens more often on the night shift
Yes,
than the other shifts typically.
I
So
agree.
that's when you get to really show what your capabilities are.
Well said. Yes, that's what we mean, layperson. If you're
Hmm.
listening, we're not.
Yeah,
We admit that we are a special bunch, but we're not heartless.
right. And then kind of going back to the lack of the support, a lot of times during the days, you can, if you have a question, you can call like the detective's desk and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got a question about this. Is this a burglary or robbery, or there's a missing person here, can you tell me this? And those resources, while available on the night shift, aren't as readily available, so you've got to figure that out on your own. Especially from a supervisor standpoint, you generally have a much, you're kind of it for the immediate
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, you and the people that work with you. So you've got to be comfortable relying on yourself and relying on them to help you get through any of the chaos that's going to ensue.
Absolutely. I mean, because yeah, you're right. On night shift, I remember, looking around at, and so in our center, it's fairly large, probably not nearly as large as some, but in our area, our immediate area, I think we're the biggest, and we have leads that work with us, and then we have other people that have been doing this a very long time, and what I like to call subject matter experts. And I'd be like, I need a huddle. I'm the supervisor, but I think I know, but I'm not sure if I know. And it's more than a notion to page a detective at 3 a.m. to ask
They don't
this.
like it.
Yeah, to ask this routine question. Not to mention, there is a compensation portion to consider.
Hmm.
When we page them in the middle of the night, that's pay for them. Not that I'm begrudging them their pay, but my paging them because I can't remember this small thing, mm, not great. And so we would huddle and try to figure out the answer before we went there. And maybe this is where I think that critical thinking at any level is really gets a workout on night shift, because you don't have a Rolodex, if you will, that you can just call, and you're not bugging anybody to use it. 3 o'clock in the morning, it's more than a notion to page some detective to go, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm not sure, and ignore the sleep in their voice when they're going, hello.
Yeah. Not to mention, you're asking them maybe a complicated question and they've just finished or been in the middle of a REM cycle or something.
Exactly. And they're like, okay, wait a minute. Say that again about the third time through as you're
Hmm.
answering your own question now that you have them on the phone.
Yeah. Then you feel
Oh,
really stupid.
yes, yes. Yeah,
But yeah,
night shift has its own vibe. It's its own yeah, it's different.
so do you think when people kind of get assigned to night shift, usually they're more of the newbies usually.
Hmm.
Do you think that that fear of working it is from that sense that things are going to be really busy all the time, there's going to be really hard calls, or do you think that there might be something else that might be making them doubt their ability to succeed?
It's that.
Hmm.
It's their instead of looking at it like you or I would through that supervisor's lens of we're going to have an influx. We just had a big shift change, right? Shift bid. Everybody's bid, and all of our more experienced have gone to days, which is where they all want to go. And I get it, which means most of our newest of the new end up on night shift. Their biggest worry is not that it's going to be busy so much, it's can they keep up? Will they know the answers to everything? And if you are listening, newbie, the answer is no. You will not know. Yes, you will get your backside handed to you. No, you're not going to be like the anime cartoon where the guy, wakes up one day and is just the bestest, most awesomest, or, not like Popeye, you eat a few spoonfuls of spinach and all is well. No, you're going to get your butt handed to you. But if your leadership does their job, they know that you are inexperienced, like we do. We know. And we know to listen, turn the little baby dispatcher up just a little louder than the rest. Tell the leads, let's watch, let's pay attention, don't interfere until we have to. But let's help along the way, kind of like the fairy god dispatcher parent, where we just kind of slide in and fix this little thing because it's not that serious right now, and then we talk about it later.
Hmm.
Yes, you are going to be challenged and you're going to be stretched and you're going to work dispatcher call taker muscles that you have not yet used, and you're going to be sore when it's over. That's just the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't doubt that you will get there. I mean,
Sure.
each shift, each time of the day has its own unique quirks about
Mhm.
problems and challenges. But certainly, I think that those that work on the night shift, that's where the real rubber meets the road. That's where it's like, this is cinematic. This is how a movie would be if you were to make a movie
Mhm.
of our profession. This is where Halle Berry would be on the shift, and that's a reference to a movie called The Call. If you're not familiar with that.
Oh,
Um,
the actress did a good job. I could just strangle the call taker she portrayed. How about that?
fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. But that's where those you're going to really develop those muscles and
Mhm.
be at the top of your game when you're doing this. So, should you be afraid? No. Should you be overconfident? No. You should be open to learning, to growing, to failing,
Mhm.
and then from those failures to rising again because you can do it.
Sure.
It's just like if you're working out, you're going to tear some muscles.
Mhm.
Those muscles are going to be sore,
Yeah.
and then they'll heal even stronger.
Yep.
Same way with working on the night shift.
It is the same until you get to day shift and you have to deal with bank robberies. That's a whole other ball game.
Well, yeah, semi-retirement.
Not the same, Gary. Not at all. But okay. But it is. And night shift is really where you cut your teeth, whether you're be taking the calls or dispatching the calls. That's really where you develop your skill set. Truly develop
Hmm.
it. You get the reps in and you get your practice and you lay the foundation and you build basics and fundamentals, through days and evenings, but where you really get to work them out and build that muscle memory and that critical thinking, the ability to think through a problem and manage your resources, whether you be 911 call taker. If you're a 911 call taker, that's where you really begin to hone your interview skills through the chaos and learn how to speak to people who are quite literally afraid for their lives, not crashes, and arguing with somebody who doesn't want to exchange information, may not have insurance. But I'm talking about where truest the truest purpose of our profession is. You really start to get that on night shift, and you're better for it.
Yeah, just as it distills the dispatchers and call takers to their best, I think it distills the calls. Those are the truest calls. Those are the calls where the lady's hiding in her closet because somebody broke into her
Mm-hmm.
house and she's got her, little kid with her
Mm-hmm.
and she's terrified.
Yeah.
Those are the calls where the really bad things most likely are going to happen. They can happen at any time,
Sure.
but if you're going to chart them out on a little cluster map, they'd be usually between 10 and 2.
And I would just say, as one last thing, is where you really, if you're more than a, if you're not a one seat PSAP, but I'm saying two and up, when those crazy calls on night shift come through, not that they cannot happen other times, but since for the purpose of this episode, that's where you really get to watch the teamwork shine. Because you
Mm-hmm.
watch people get really creative on how to handle things. Because it's happening too fast for you to stop and think about what ifs and worry about whose job it is or whose responsibility it is. You It puts the elite problem solvers that we are on display, I think.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. And if you work in a PSAP that's got one or two people in it, Erica and I don't have a whole lot of experience with the real small ones, so we'd love to hear from you. And you can always shoot us an email at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. Or if you have any other questions or comments or notice maybe, hey, at my center, the 2 to 10 shift or the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift is really, really busy. We'd love to hear about that
Yeah.
because in our experience, it's pretty much the busy time is at the nighttime
Yeah.
in terms of the, I guess not busy time, but the chaotic time.
Chaotic. Yeah. I agree.
Yes.
We'd love to hear it. We'd love for you not just to drop us a line, but we'd love for you to come on and let us hear about it because we, as Gary said, we can't relate to that. I mean, we know it exists, we know it's real, and it's got to be amazing because you already hear my admiration for just the thought of having to do it all. First of all, I'd probably run out screaming. So I want to know how you don't. That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But we hope that you all have enjoyed listening to us today, and we've enjoyed having you with us. And we will look forward to seeing you next week. But from all of us here at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary,
America.
and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.